Hi guys, my name's Nick Broughton and I'm a Random Fish. Hit that subscribe button and let's all be Random Fishes together. First off, I want to say I apologise for not being here for a while. I was trying to do a daily thing, one episode of Superman the Animated Series per day. That got a bit taxing, if I'm going to be absolutely honest. Honestly, I think the fact that I hadn't really thought everything through. Also, other things I had going on during the day and things that I had to get done were kind of getting in the way of doing things on a daily basis. So I thought I'd just go back to doing things on a fairly regular basis. Hopefully you guys don't hate me too much for that. There will be more rewrites coming for those of you who care, which is not many of you, but well. But yeah, let's just go from here and see what happens. So, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker was released in December of 2019. I saw it twice in the cinema and really only seen it twice more since its release on DVD and Blu-ray. Why? Because the movie is, in my opinion, one of my least favourite Star Wars movies. Solo is among them, but that's not the topic that I want to focus on here. I want to say right away that I don't hate the sequel trilogy. I do not hate Rey, I don't hate Finn, Poe, Kylo Ren. I am an avid defender of The Last Jedi and was insanely happy to see Force Awakens. But Rise of Skywalker was a mess. And it was a film that committed one of the most egregious sins ever. It made me bored. Not as bored as watching anything by Michael Bay, but still. And of course, there's the ultimate argument of no film is flawless. And I agree with that 100%. However, to use the prequels, to enact the prequels for a minute, because everyone seems to hate the prequels a lot more these days, and apparently it's cool now to hate the prequels. Was Attack of the Clones amazing? Not particularly. It was more down to the forced romantic banter between Anakin and Padme, which you could explain away with the fact that Anakin was a teenager, late teenager, but still, who had never really interacted with women before, at least not a woman he had a crush on. Not in the same way. But, for example, they end up going to something like the Battle of Geonosis, the Yoda versus Dooku duel. That made the film incredible to me. I cheered when Yoda activated his lightsaber in the cinema. I remember doing this with my older brother. And does that make this film my least favourite because of all the really crappy romantic dialogue between the two main romantic leads? No. Because that battle on Geonosis, that Dooku versus Yoda battle, it elevated it to a much better place for me. And the problem is that Rise of Skywalker, the elements that I spoke about with Attack of the Clones, it's just not there. There's a few things in the film that are good, don't get me wrong, but they don't outweigh what was awful about it. Kylo's opening slaughter of the inhabitants of Mustafar, the Alizmec, to get Vader's Wayfinder, awesome. The transference of the lightsaber in the finale, awesome. Everything else just felt meh. That's a real shame because it isn't just the final film in the new sequel trilogy, it's the final film in this whole Skywalker saga thing, which I have an entirely massive problem with on its own, but that's a separate issue, not important right now. Let's start with my biggest reason as to have a gripe with Rise of Skywalker. Palpatine's return. And yes, I know it was forecast early on, his actor Ian McDiarmid is fantastic and a lot of fun to watch on screen. I don't deny this. But it doesn't take away from the pointlessness of his inclusion in the film. Why have Palpatine there at all? Why not have his evil legacy survived through the now Supreme Leader Kylo Ren? Not have him himself return. But it seemed like the only reason Palpatine ever reappeared was because they were trying to explain away Rey being a quote-unquote Mary Sue, which I don't like at all. And they're just trying barely to keep up with what was said in Last Jedi. Now, even though I'm not a massive fan. Like I said, I can explain things. I can explain Palpatine's return. In the film, the line that says "Secrets only the Sith knew," spelled out by Mary in the Resistance meeting. Sorry, same actor. Leave me alone. But you know, he's saying this without having any real knowledge about before the Empire for the Republic's time. I mean, hell, in the original trilogy, the word Sith I don't think is even mentioned. The dark side is mentioned, not the word Sith. Not in any way that I can think of. So, it's easy to explain away Palpatine's return because of the Old Republic, because of the Camino, because of the Clone Wars, because of everything else. He could have kept Camino on retainer during the Empire's days, or figured out their secrets, made them tell him their secrets when he was running things as the Emperor. But I digress. Palpatine's returning and revealing Rey's now true parentage was just annoying. The idea of suddenly making her the granddaughter or daughter, if you really want to get into it, of Palpatine was just stupid. The idea of the Jedi was that the Force could manifest in anyone. And hell, they cover that in Clone Wars just as much, and in Rebels. I mean, Ezra Bridger was the son of two activists, basically, and yet he had the Force with him. He was trained by Kanan Jarrus or Caleb Dune. He was played, you know, it was shown in that way. He wasn't, you know, there was no legend to Mace Windu's father. Obi-Wan's mum wasn't some uber-powerful Jedi before him. They were taken away and trained as children. Also, just as a cover-up, lightning is not genetic to Palpatine's. It is not. Lightning was used by Dooku in the prequels. He used it. We saw him use it in the film. Okay? Just because you're related to the wrinkly old bastard doesn't mean you can automatically use lightning. Yes, Palpatine could use it in the most effective ways. Yes, he was one of the most powerful lightning force users, at least according to canon now. But that doesn't mean lightning is his genetic trait that he can pass on to another Force-sensitive version of himself. Anyway, Palpy is my most major gripe with the film. But now that he's out of the way, I want to take a look at some of the other issues that I have with it. First of all, Rise of Skywalker, the title. It just sounds like bad fan fiction. Sorry, just does. Bad fan fiction. Secondly, Rose. What the hell happened? I get that, you know, we had Lando in Empire having a massive role and his role was massively reduced in Return of the Jedi. I get that. But did you really have to do that to Rose specifically? It doesn't feel like she should be the one being given that, you know? Especially after all the hate she got given in Last Jedi. Anyway, thirdly, giant collection of ships that Lando brings in the Falcon to the Star Wars theme. It feels like they were trying to give us an endgame moment. You just didn't, because this works for the audience, because the audience knows these ships, knows these characters. The characters in the sequel trilogy, Poe and Finn, the leaders now currently of the Resistance, do not know these other characters. Okay? There's a difference between fan service and a good callback. In Endgame, we had this not just because of our connection to Falcon and to the other characters who got dusted, but the characters within the films themselves were otherwise connected. There's a reason as to why Sam was the one to first speak, because he said, "On your left." This wasn't just a running thing throughout Winter Soldier that the audience got to laugh at. It was what Steve and Sam got to laugh at just as much. So it works on that level. In Rise of Skywalker, it just doesn't. Fourthly, why did Kylo Ren have to be redeemed? He didn't need to be redeemed. He's not his granddaddy, as evidenced by the phrase in Last Jedi of "take that ridiculous thing off" and "you're no Vader, you're just a child in a mask." He didn't need to be redeemed. Leave him as a villain, please. Do that. Fifthly, Hux didn't need to be sidelined. General Pride didn't need to exist. I mean, there could have been this really cool moment in the movie where Hux just tried to take over the First Order and Kylo Ren had to kill him for his insolence. I'm sorry, but those two as a rivalry was building up from Force Bloody Awakens. So why did you just have to push that thing aside so badly? What was the point in that? Anyway, as for everything else, I'm not going to touch on the Rise of Skywalker part because that to me is something that's A, been talked about to death, and B, something I don't like it, but I also don't really care about it. I think by the time it got to the end and the finale and everything else, I was just numb. Also, one final thing regarding Palpatine, the lightsabers. Using the lightsabers to deflect the lightning. We see Obi-Wan could stop Dooku's lightning with his lightsaber. We saw this happen in episode 2. In episode 3, Windu only deflected the lightning back at Palpatine because they were in an enclosed space. Which is fine. But then how the hell did Rey deflect all the lightning from the 2 lightsabers back onto Palpatine to destroy his body at the time when it wasn't an enclosed space? Because not like 5 minutes ago he shot lightning up in the sky and just decimated a whole bunch of ships. Really? I mean, please. But anyway, the Skywalker thing, like I said, I don't like it, but at the same time, it's canon. So there's bugger all I can really do about it. I can't overly complain about that. Do I like the film? No. But there are some things that are not that bad about it. The healing thing. I thought this was just going to be another disappointing moment for me. The healing thing felt like something out of a video game. It felt like something out of a video game. It felt like they could have used it to heal creatures, not people. And while I understand that the dyad thing, and that I understood, but having this suddenly be a force power that Rey can use, I think she only... Either have her be able to heal creatures and have that be a Jedi thing, where it's like we can use it on other creatures, just not on ourselves or on other humans kind of thing, or have it just be between Rey and Ben. Just be them. She can only heal him, he can only heal her. Have that be a thing. Because that would be a cool addition. They didn't do that. They made it so it's just like another random thing. And I just don't think it worked, personally. But anyway, in spite of all of this, am I going to go to great lengths to discredit this film? No. I'm not. Anyone who likes this film, I'm going to call them and say that they're not a real Star Wars fan. Hell no. Why? Because this film clearly made a lot of people happy. And they liked the things that bugged me and other fans about this film. And the things that I liked, you probably liked even more. You know, this little video isn't a Star Wars is dead rant. Okay? I want that to be made abundantly clear. This is not a Star Wars is dead rant. For example, The Mandalorian and everything else that's coming out for Star Wars on Disney Plus, can't wait. Looking so forward to those. I really am. But this video, all it was, is simply me going, I don't like this movie. And let me explain why. Again, not to discredit the film, but to point out the problems that I personally had with it. Opinion is subjective. It always has been. Like I said in the beginning, no film is flawless. And honestly, if you can look past the flaws in this film and still enjoy it, great. Good for you. Go and watch it. I can't. In the same way that I can forgive Attack of the Clones, or I can forgive Phantom Menace. I can't forgive Phantom Menace for Jar Jar, but hey, I'm a grown-ass man now. I wasn't 9. And I'm not 9 anymore. You know, but... Anyway, if you like the film, please, more power to you. Go and watch it. Go and enjoy it. I know I won't, but doesn't mean you can't. But with all that being said, Random Fish out.